I'm not gonna lie, it is so hot right now. 4:30 p.m. during the summertime in Hawaii is no joke. I'm dying. And yet I'm eating this hot pasta. It's okay. It's worth it as I'm sweating. Hello everyone and welcome back to Mastering the Techniques of Cooking. I'm your host, Anna. And welcome back to the second video in a 7-part series that we're looking at called Aromatics 101. Aromatics 101. This series is going to be so good and delicious because we're learning about the building blocks of flavor and different types of cuisines all around the world. So our last video was the blueprint for building flavor in France, the classic French mirepoix. But in this video, we're going to travel to Italy and we're going to explore their version called the Italian Soffritto. I just really like saying that word too. It's really fun. What's so amazing about Italian cuisine is that their classic recipes are straightforward and simple in terms of ingredients. What sets their cuisine apart are about two things: time and quality. Most recipes that grandma cooked had that low and slow method. The respect for their ingredients is reflected in the time it takes to prepare, cook, and eat. They pride themselves in the quality of ingredients, so their meal is truly nurturing to the mind, body, and soul. And their mirepoix reflects just that. You have 1 part celery, 1 part carrot, and 2 parts onion. The only difference between the building blocks of all mirepoix and the Italian Soffritto is instead of butter, you use olive oil. This is because that's what they had readily available. But what's so cool about the Italian Soffritto is that there's many stages to it. I found this really great website that I'll link in the description box below explaining the stage process. So I decided to go with the food processor way to really be authentic. Well, not really. So when you're doing the food processor method like I am here, you want to process your carrot and your celery first because they're a little bit harder than your softer, watery onion. Do that second and then combine them in the bowl to get ready for the cooking process, which is going to be in a pot. I'm really excited to share today's recipe with you because it's number 1 fun, second delicious, and it's literally defined as meat sauce. It's called Ragu di Carne and it is delicious. It's a Tuscan style meat sauce. Ragu literally means tomato, like a tomato-based sauce, and di carne means with meat, carne, meat. So it's a meat-based sauce, more meat than tomato, and that's why I picked it because I love to eat. I just thought it'd be fun to try different techniques with this and really just get into some delicious flavors because the Italians can do no wrong, you know? So get you a sharp knife or a food processor and meet me in the kitchen. Let's get started. Go ahead and get your olive oil. We're going to be using 2 tablespoons here. And in another bowl, combine your 1 cup onion, half a cup of celery, half a cup of carrot, finely diced together. And then you're going to go ahead and get your dried mushrooms. I'm going to be using the same ones in the previous video, the shiitakes. And then we're going to be using about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I'm going to be using the whole package of ground pork, which is almost a pound, because I'm going to be doubling my recipe. Same with the ground beef, almost a pound. And then you're going to be wanting to use a half a cup of dry red wine. In my case, since I'm doubling my batch, I'm going to do a cup of dry red wine. And again, like my previous video, I love using Merlot for meat dishes because it's a very full-bodied, and I'm all about that full flavor. And here is some San Marzano tomatoes. If you guys haven't tried this, it's really flavorful. And not to flex, but it is imported from Italy, but I got it at Costco, so I'm not like, you know, super rich. And like always, you want to get your salt and your pepper because we're going to use this to season to taste. And this is my family secret or my little spin on a classic family style dish, which is fresh tomatoes from our garden and the secret ingredient, which is going to be lemon zest. So what you're going to do is you're going to add all of your oil and your soffritto that has been finely minced together in a large pot so you can simmer it for a long time. So our goal is about 20 minutes on a low heat. We're going to caramelize this, sweat it. We're trying to boil all the water out And so you want to put that on low, and then we're going to move on to prepping everything else. We can just add it and cook. So I'm reconstituting my mushrooms just like last time. We're going to let these go for about 15 minutes and then roughly chop them later. And I meant to show you guys this garlic technique last time, which is basically using the top end of your knife around the tip and smashing it to just get the skins off. And then you can do whatever you want at this point, mince or chop it, or in this case, I'm gonna be using the food processor because it is quicker. So I'm gonna take all my garlic that I just pounded to get the skin off, and I'm adding my fresh garden tomatoes. And I'm just gonna simply, give this a nice, I'm gonna give this a nice blitz. And just like that, guys, you have a All right, so just clean your workstation if you're like me and get a little messy. And go ahead, go back to the stove and check on your soffritto. How's it looking? Is it sweating nicely? Is it translucent? Let's take a look at mine. So you can see that there's a lot of liquid. That liquid is water from my onions. I wanted to show you guys this particular part in the sequence because raise your hand if you've gotten to a stage in a recipe and you feel like something's off, but you don't know how to Google it or figure out what else you need to do to maybe fix a problem that you see. And that's what I wanted to show you guys here. This water needs to be evaporated so I can caramelize my soffritto. This water is going to prevent caramelization. It's going to prevent me from going forward with this recipe. So I'm going to take the extra time on low heat and sweat this all out and evaporate the water. Don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. This just happens sometimes. But that extra water isn't really gonna help you, so let's get rid of it.
20 minutes later.
So here I just added my tomato paste because I liked where I was at in the 20-minute sweating process. And right now I'm getting my tomato paste to be a nice rusty red color, as you can see. Also check out the amount of liquid that's left in the pot, not a whole lot, because we're going to be adding a ton of liquid later from the meat. There's going to be some rendering of some water, also with the wine, and even just adding mushroom base that we want to save again. So as you can see, there's like a little bit of water that's still there, and that's totally fine. If you want to go all the way and really get it caramelized, do it, but don't burn it, okay? Your soffritto should be fragrant, nice and caramelized or sweated, because now we're gonna move on to building our ragu base. And we gotta introduce the carne part, which is the meat, and we have to brown our meat. So at this stage, you wanna crank up your heat instead of on low to high. We gotta properly cook our meat, and so I just did a time lapse just to show you guys. This took around 5 minutes to do this all. You could actually brown your meat first and then cook your soffritto, but it's up to you. I mean, there's really no wrong answer here. What is wrong is all of that water just swimming around and not allowing any of caramelization or any sweating to take place to build that flavor. So don't skip that step, because this is what's going to build a flavor for your meat sauce. And you want to keep that temperature on high as we begin to incorporate all of our ingredients. So I'm adding the liquid of the red wine. So the red wine, I'm just scraping the bottom of the pot, which is considered scraping the fond off of the pot, which is any kind of like flavor that's been stuck in the browning process of your soffritto. So that's what I'm doing by scraping the bottom of the pan. I'm not doing that with a metal spatula, by the way. Always do it with a wooden or plastic, because you don't want to scratch your pan. And now, after I got it on a nice boil, add your porcini mushrooms, or your shiitake mushrooms in my case. Add your beautiful pureed San Marzano tomatoes, because I didn't have any tomato puree. This works just fine. Add your secret ingredients. I'm going to be using my garlic and fresh tomatoes from the garden puree mix. It's already looking so beautiful. Look at that. So give that a nice good stir to incorporate everything. And here is another secret ingredient of most Italians will be familiar with, which is nutmeg. And that is a nutmeg. And you're just gonna grind a little bit up. And then we're gonna incorporate some umami pieces. I am using, hold your breath, fish sauce and soy sauce. That is meant for depth of flavor, umami, saltiness, and overall full body, which honestly cannot not help here, am I right? So you want to put that on low with the lid on, and we want to simmer that for about 3 hours. This is what a simmer looks like. Small bubbles, a little bit at a time.
3 hours later.
After this has been going for about 3 hours, guys, it is time to plate up. But wait, we have to add our secret ingredient, which is our lemon zest. This is going to brighten up the dish. Since this dish is super heavy on the tongue, we want to have a little acidity to really brighten up those heavy notes. I'm adding fresh parsley because of that green color effect. And now the moment everyone's been waiting for, including me, plating and eating. But first we gotta garnish with a little bit of parsley and, of course, generous, and I mean generous, amounts of fresh Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Keep going. No, really, keep going. I'll wait. Keep going with the toppings. Don't stop. Treat yourself. Thank you. There's definitely a lot of complexity in this. It almost is making me just stop and ponder of my life. Also, it helps with my homemade pasta, handmade, homemade. If you want to see a video on that, let me know, and I could definitely switch up the curriculum and we can do that. That lemon zest really comes in at the end and really just brightens your whole mouth. This is perfect if you live somewhere cold right now, if you're experiencing fall. Not like here in Hawaii. It's very hot. So that's why I'm not fully enjoying this meal. It's because I'm burning up. But if I was to enjoy it, say in Antarctica, then it would be, oh my gosh, incredible. This recipe really freezes well. So that's why I made a double batch, just to, keep it in the freezer for whenever we do get a cold weather, if we ever do. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I really hope that you learned something, and I hope you got value out of this video. I can't wait to see you guys next week as we continue our culinary journey, as we look at the Spanish Soffritto. It's gonna be so good. And we're gonna actually explore a little bit more detailed of mirepoix with bell peppers and maybe some other secret ingredients. So stay tuned, subscribe, like the video, and share it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.